Welcome to Make It Make Sense with Monique Pressley. I'm your host, Monique Pressley. Thanks so much for joining today and every day. As you can see, we're kind of in a new environment today. How exciting. New set alert. Not really. Just there was construction in my area, so I had to regroup and move because every time I started trying to talk, it was going, we couldn't have that. So here we are. You might hear a little faint jazz in the background because we're in the lobby of my building. But still, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for wanting to join us in making things make sense. That's what this show is about. We take complex topics and try to break them down to some bite-sized morsels that are full of truth and facts and data. And if we give you commentary, it's truth and facts and data for that as well. And the guest that we have today, who I see in the room, is a colleague and dear friend and baby sis and activist, and she has had all kinds of lofty positions, such as heading the Young Division of the NAACP, and she is a free agent now and working as a consultant for people doing really big pop-in things, and I'll let her tell you about that. She recently left me. She was an East Coast dweller. Now she's back home on the West Coast. I'm not mad at her about that, though. That's a place where I have a couch to stay when I need to go and visit and such and so on. But we've been wanting to have her on the show, and I watched last week as the news started coming out that there may be some debt forgiveness, some loan forgiveness for these student loans that were just, predatory. It's like the U.S. government has been a predatory lender for our young folks for decades, and it looks like there may be some executive action about that. And Tiffany Loftin went on Instagram and had some things to say about what she was hearing, and I said, well, I think we need to make it make sense, because I'm not sure. I think there may be a legal issue. I'm not sure. Is there a legislative issue? I'm not sure. What can the president do and what can't the president do? And will it ever be enough? Those are my questions. She's here with some answers for those questions. One moment. You'll put some hearts on the screen welcoming the Tiffany Loftin.
I'm sorry that I left you. I look forward to coming back to the East Coast soon. I love LA. I'm born and raised in LA, and so it has definitely been a culture shift moving back home. I had to come back home and take care of family stuff that was going on. So it is hard being away because there's so much happening right now, and I would rather be nowhere else than DC. And I kind of just feel like this is my forceful Selah moment to relax and do things from a distance. I miss you. You look amazing. Congrats on the show, and thank you for having me. And you are more than welcome to come. You don't have to crash on the couch, honey. The whole couch pulls out into a whole new bed, so you have a place to stay.
Well, ours are coming sooner than you think. But what I need to confess is we really could swap places, because I desire life as a West Coast dweller. I have for years and years, because I was born and raised in Galveston, Texas. So I, at heart, am a year-round warm weather person. I'm a year-round beach bum. I don't really understand or function still. 30 years in, I've been on the East Coast. But still, I'm like, can't I just get on my bike and go and drive and sit at the beach and sketch and journal? No, I can't do that.
3 weeks in August in DC at the National Mall, and it's not the same.
And I go up, I do Chesapeake Bay, I go all the way up, I go Ocean City, I go all the way up to the Hamptons, I do Martha's Vineyard. None of that is what I'm used to. So there is some, I don't know if it's going to be Santa Monica, Santa Barbara, Santa something. There's something in my future. Something's coming. And I had Ariva Martin on here a little bit ago, and she's holding for Special Needs Network LA. She's holding events, her annual autism awareness events.
Awesome.
And the Pink Pump event is coming up actually in a couple of weeks on out there where you are. So offline we'll talk.
Yes.
But I told her, I texted her, and I'm like, I hope you're laying groundwork and foundation for me, because these kids finish high school in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I'm gonna be like, I'm encouraging all colleges west. We're getting all kinds of offers. My daughter wants to go to Juilliard, and I'm like, well, they call UC Berkeley the Juilliard of the West Coast.
Go, baby. That is so funny. You know what's funny? You went north. I go south. I go to Florida. I go to South Carolina. I go down, or I go like further south, like Cuba.
I mean, I have those places, but I've just been trying to make it work like East Coast with a train is what I've been trying to do. Like, can I be on the beach and get on the Acela at the same time? It doesn't work out.
That's right. Well, whenever you get here, call me. We'll talk offline.
Okay.
And it feels good to be back. It feels good. It's a learning curve and adjustment. We have mayoral races happening right now. California, there's a lot going on politically. So I'm just like getting back into the swing of things. And you're right. I did leave the.
Are you with Karen Bass? Are you with Karen Bass?
I am. Nobody's asked me formally yet. And
I'm asking.
I'm with Kenneth Mejia. I know you're asking. I'm with Kenneth Mejia for sure, who's running for LA City Controller. There was another candidate that, whose name I'm forgetting, and that's so embarrassing, but I just got here. There's another candidate who's running for mayor who I think's policies and at least his values and politics matched mine. The three biggest issues here in Los Angeles right now are homelessness, police funding, and the cost of living. And so they are like literally, I think, head to head about those two issues. From what I can see, and the mayoral debates that I've been to, the public forums that I've been to, Karen Bass is doing really incredible. I don't know if I've actually said I'm going to vote for her yet, and I don't know. And I also just had to relocate my voter registration status because I was voting in DC, and so I don't even have a California license yet. I just got here in February, so I've been like trying to figure all that stuff out and get my license and register to vote here. I already registered to vote here, but like do everything else.
Well, I will vote for her if I could. I committed just this morning. I'm gonna raise money for her. I'm gonna come to a couple of events because, and I'm strictly inside ball on stuff like this when it's politicians that have had the opportunity to be around. When we were trying to get, when Attorney Ben Crump and I and the George Floyd family, everybody was trying to get the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act passed, which is dead in the water. We won't talk about today because if I start talking about that, I get so damn mad. I'm unable to focus on any other issue. And there are more important issues for today, at least. And it's dead in the water. Did I say it's dead? Did I say that it's Senator Tim Scott and lesser extent Lindsey Graham, and they lied to our faces? But that's okay. My point is, during that time, Karen Bass met with the families like 8, 9 times. She showed up to dinners that different people who were advocating were having. She was giving us blow by blow what things she thought the advocacy would take, because the measure had already passed on the House side, and she was just so faithful, so fastidious, so full of integrity, and even when it was looking like, wow, we're not going to be able to get this done. And she was kind of the appointed person who was going between the House and the Senate and trying to make it work and dealing with Cedric Richmond and everybody from the White House. And I'd already respected her, but I gained so much respect for her commitment to unpopular issues, and to trying to see them through. And even when it came down to the really hard news, like, wow, they're about to punt. They have created false things to be concerned about, and it looks like they're gonna push this down the road. She did that herself, face to face, and so whatever she does next, and this, she wants to be mayor. I wanted her to stay over here, but whatever she does next, I hope she's mayor and then senator. But whatever she does next, I support because of that reason. But Tiff, there's so much news and we're going to talk about student stuff. We're going to talk about student loans and forgiveness. But there was some breaking news. There was some random breaking news yesterday. You've already commented on it, so I feel safe asking you about it. But for the first time now, I've been an attorney since 1997. And not since I've been paying attention to the news, never mind since I've been a lawyer, but not since I've been paying attention to legal news, paying attention to the Supreme Court, wanting to be a lawyer, have I ever heard
leaked
of a draft of a Supreme Court decision
being
leaking within months of the original draft and at least a month or more prior to the time it's going to be released. So I call foul, I call bullshit on all of what's happening right now, but there's nothing about the opinion itself that's surprising me except the clutching of pearls that's going on from senators. Susan, stop it, Susan, stop it. And from women who voted, white ones, in high percentage numbers for this thing to happen. Yeah. So how dare you come onto Al Gore's internet, onto my doggone Twitter, Elon Musk's Twitter. How dare you come onto Musky Twitter with shock and awe about what the hell is happening when you, girl.
Yeah.
Sis.
Yeah.
No.
You
shed tears while you voted for Donald Trump. You cried like you hadn't voted for him. Liar, liar. And then, we barely got a President Joe Biden and a Vice President Kamala Harris because of your lying voting ass. So I'm just saying, what are your thoughts? Those are my thoughts.
First of all, none of those folks are my sis. I will never call them sis. They don't vote in favor.
When I say sis, I'm talking about sister in Christ. I embrace I embrace the beloved fellowship because I might have to be in heaven next to them. So I'm just, I'm covering. I'm CYA on sis right now.
You are more saved than me. I am so to your point about the leaked information and Politico releasing it. I'm still trying to figure out that mess. It's messy. And I wonder, was it intentional so that people have argued that it is intentional so that people can organize against it. People have argued that it is intentional so that states can get ready to sign legislation so all 26 states can ban abortions across the country. There is a moral and political argument that is happening right now about the autonomy and choice over women's bodies. And last night I went live on Instagram and I cried because I wasn't afraid. I was scared. I wasn't afraid of other people or things. I was scared of the consequences of the undoing of protections for women's choice. And that will not stop women from getting abortions. It'll stop women from getting safe abortions.
Safe abortions.
It will not do anything in this country except for criminalize women who get put in any type of situation, whether that is, I don't have to list the choices because actually, Monique, where I stand as somebody who has gone through the procedure is that it's nobody else's business why somebody has that procedure. And also it should not be litigated. But I am currently reading 1619 Project, and I just finished the chapter, ironically, right before this leak on social media. I finished the chapter on medicine and thinking about how the medical system treats Black women, period, across the country, historically and how it was created, and thinking about the young women who do not have the education that they might need or request to make the best decisions for themselves and how the government is trying to litigate that for them. And I think that that's wrong and it's scary. And how many other things, like, the justice is saying that because abortion is not in the Constitution, that they should go back to the states. Well, neither is like ending racism and slavery. Neither is we're going to talk about student debt. Neither is education. Neither is voting rights. Voting rights is not in the Constitution. None of those things are in the Constitution that we hold as rights or values to people, including me being able to make the choices that I want to make for my body or any woman.
some of them were put into the Constitution by amendment and by necessity.
Sure.
Because Vince Evans posted this morning and he asked a question. He said, "Is Brown v. Board of Education settled law?" I didn't respond yet, but what I would say is, what does it matter? What does it matter? Because settled or unsettled law on cases, what we're seeing now is that all of that is up for grabs. And we told y'all. We told y'all it was all going to be up for grabs.
Yeah.
So,
but to push for a justice to push it, for that to be one of their reasons why they push it back to the states, I think could be consequential to these other decisions and other things that are also not a part of the Constitution. And I 100% agree with you. That's why I got this book on. It's like these choices that people made. And so we have a midterm election this year. We have a presidential in 2, and the choices are going to be up again. There's so much to process about the 2-party system, which I don't have time to do and don't feel like doing early this morning. But
it's what it is right now.
But it is what it is. But it is scary to think that the folks who are not all of our folks, the folks or all of my folks, the folks who are in the Supreme Court can push back this decision and put it back to the states by arguing or saying that it is not in the Constitution. Because there are a lot of things that are not in the Constitution. And I think that is scary to open up that window and allow states to do what they want to do. Then there begs the question, because I teach a class at Santa Cruz, I ask my students the question, should all the states operate under the same rules, or should everyone have their own rules? And the class was divided. And so I think that people will debate that and we'll figure that out. But I'm going to be honest with you, Monique, I was scared. And I think about like women's pleasure, and I think about women's like medical, all of the things that happen to us that this patriarchy continues to legislate and criminalize is extremely scary.
Yeah. And see, you raised a lot of political issues, a lot of legal questions that are all mixed in that same bag. The thing that I want people to know, even as they're, I have a 16-year-old daughter. We just celebrated her 16th birthday last week. And when we were riding in the car this morning, she was like, we were just kind of listening to the news, and she was like, and she said, can we please just not go to school today? Because she goes to a private Catholic school, and it's going to be a completely divided, striated, tension, conflict, thick environment because they're split. There are the dogmatic Catholic abortion is wrong folks, the no matter what folks, and those are coming up in the ranks, even in the young women.
Sure.
And then there are the, are you kidding me? My body, my choice, my autonomy, my freedom, my get your legislation out my uterus group. And they, which my daughter thankfully firmly planted in that group. But I am concerned because other than screaming at the top of my lungs, vote, I don't know what I can do to help her and those who are coming up with her that, forget about perfect Patty. When they make a mistake, your choices are still yours.
Or when somebody takes crime from you.
When crime upon you, your choices, your responses are still available to you. And yes, whoever's asking, this one is like all the other ones. Follow me on YouTube at Monique Pressley TV. Subscribe there and get your notifications. And this one will be available. And we are just barely started. We are started and finished all at the same time because it's all the same. But yes, this issue is going on. My booking producer is searching for a legal expert who's going to talk to us about what's going to happen next. I'm not necessarily as concerned. Oh, this is the other thing I want to say before we switch gears, but it's the same gear. The not safe abortions that are going to happen, it's not going to be for affluent women.
Absolutely not.
And it's not going to be for the white women who didn't care if Trump was in office, which is why they didn't care if Trump was in office, because they could live in Texas and they can travel across 2 state lines and get a very safe procedure
That's right.
up until, you know, until the fetus is viable,
That's right.
until it really is a human
That's
that
right.
they're choosing to abort rather than deliver.
That's right.
That 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 is happening.
That's right.
That that is happening. Okay,
That's,
so the people who can afford to not worry about this are
don't.
not worried about this, and that's why the 53% could be 54%, 55, 56, 57.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the numbers on that, it's not just the dumb poor people
Yeah.
who don't know that they're voting against their interests. It's the affluent people who are voting along their husband's financial interests
Mm-hmm.
and know that they can get on, child, they can get on a private plane and leave the country
That's
and
right.
get safe procedures.
That's,
They're not gonna, nothing is gonna change in the universe. So
that's right.
when we think about
Mm-hmm.
this, that's what led me to talk to you about student loans. Because I gotta say, Tiff, sometimes I get really concerned with our progressive contingent because our
Mm-hmm.
lives are right now in these elections. And are we really going to use our platforms, our mics, our persuasive abilities to tell people that the mountain they should die on is student loans when the next election could cost us 3 more Supreme Court seats? It could be 9-0
Mm-hmm.
for the batshit crazies.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't, segregation is on the table with
Right.
the Supreme Court. Abortion is already, apparently, the federal protection is about to say goodbye.
Gun violence.
Education
Mm-hmm. Education.
and I'm just talking about Supreme Court. I'm not talking about the kinds of things that really can be done by executive action. If
Mm-hmm.
we give the Trumpsies an opportunity at the executive branch and the demon himself, Mitch McConnell, another chance at the Senate.
That's
And
right.
it ain't gonna be Patrick McCarthy, God bless him. He'd improved, he had too much sense. But somebody else, you know, the Marjorie Taylor Greens of the world and their ilk. So I want to ask you the political question first before we get into the should we get our student loans forgiven, which obviously we should. Black folks, stop being dumb. But Tiff, can we afford this conversation right now?
Yes. I started college, Monique, in 2007. And when I got to college, I'm the first of my siblings to go. I went to UC Santa Cruz, and the Board of Regents, some who are appointed by the governor of California, many, if not more than half, who have never attended a UC school in the state of California, voted to increase my tuition 33%. And every year that I was in college, that same board over the University of California school system voted to increase our student fees. The conversation we're having right now about canceling student loan debt, a lot of folks are looking at it from the perspective of the pandemic, relief, and $300, $400 a month. But this conversation to me and to other advocates like the Debt Collective, like Dream Defenders, like the Youth and College Division at the NAACP, is bigger than we don't want to pay our student loans for the next couple of months because y'all have paused them for the last 2 years. The conversation is, this country has not increased the Pell Grant to the degree or to the percentage that it needs to cover the rise of tuition, which has increased over the last 40 years, 169%. 40 years ago, tuition was like $369. Tuition now is $9,000. The cost of
State school.
State schools. I'm not talking about private schools. Yes, ma'am. And public state schools. Yeah. I'm not talking about that. The room and board, in addition to that, I went and became a residential assistant because they covered room and board. And I did that for 2 years. Then I took out student loans. My computer broke. I ran out of student loans and they couldn't give me money to get a computer. So we're talking about access and affordability for education. We're talking about the promises that Joe Biden ran on for his campaign. And
Which promise? Nope. Let's pause.
Yep.
What did he promise?
I know exactly who you, yes, ma'am. The promise is to cancel student loan debt.
Did he promise to cancel everyone's student loan debt?
No, he did not promise to cancel everyone's student loan debt. He also did not promise an amount. He ran on the campaign that he was going to cancel student loan debt. That
Right. No, but in his platform for education, there were specific proposals, and one of them was about the $10,000 number for cancellation for people who fell into a certain income bracket. And then there were other things that they saw their way clear to doing through executive order, like expanding other programs. But that's one of my concerns when we start saying that this is a campaign promise broken. And that's why I raised it the way I raised it to you, because in my political mind, I'm not killing Joe Biden and Kamala Harris right now. You can't pay me enough money. You can't offer me anything that's gonna make me use my mouth to kill them, when what is coming is the death of all of us. Forget the loans, and I want them forgiven, but forget the loans. We are in trouble. We're in the trouble zone, and we got rescued from what would be a banana republic right now. So I'm just trying to be clear. What is it in his platform, which was produced, and on the trail, if there are words that he said, did he say that what he was going to do for every single person that had a loan in America was forgive it? Is that what he said?
No, that's not what he said. And I can actually play the audio if we want to do that.
If we can, that would be great. I wish we could show it, but we Instagram sophisticated right now. I'm gonna have a real studio at some point too. Come back when we fancy.
Let me do that because I'm trying to multitask. Let me do this. He also has already canceled $17 billion in student loan debt for about 100.
Thank you, President Biden. Thank you, President Biden.
Yeah, sure.
But it was through delay, right? It wasn't that he announced a cancellation. He announced a forestalling, an elimination of payments, because it's something that if I have to be PC, so I can't say it the way my grandmother would say it, but they found a rig of sorts for the system that enabled them to pause debt. And that pause has ended up with a big chunk, but it's not forgiveness. Like, Sally Mae ain't gonna call you no more. You got our audio.
Sally Mae's private, so that's not even the federal loan. So
I mean, that's what I meant, but you know what I mean. U.S. Department of Education. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. So there's a couple of ways that, from the research that I've done on Joe Biden, there's a couple of ways that he's already canceled debt. One is through public service loan forgiveness, right? So if you pay 20 years of your loans back uninterrupted, then you can be granted forgiveness depending on the program and the career choice that you have. There are people.
And if you served 5 or more years, right? I haven't even gotten my forgiveness. If you government service, I think it's 5+ years.
It's definitely more than 5 years. But
there's an option for that.
But to your point, you haven't even gotten forgiveness yet, right? That entire system.
I ain't sent in my paperwork. I'm about to.
That entire there are people that are a part of the debt collective who are experiencing announcements that they are getting their student loans forgiven. Let me also rephrase this, just because I think about the word forgiveness and how that feels like criminal to me. We want to cancel student loans. And so the people who have gotten their student loans canceled, or got the announcement that their student loans are going to be canceled, they have not got them canceled, but they got the announcement. And so Joe Biden right now is fixing that program that was created under the Obama era so that people could get their student loans canceled. Apparently,
Thanks, Obama.
Obama.
I'm just thanking everybody who did something. For the people who are going to watch here, who are in the comments, who are going to say they didn't do nothing, I just want to throw in some thanks for the things that already existed so we can be on a level playing field. But go ahead.
113,000 borrowers have already gotten $6.8 billion in student loan forgiveness. There are another 400,000 students who were a part of total and permanent disability. They also got their student loans canceled. There's $2 billion for 100,000 students who borrowed and were misled by their colleges or universities through defense or student loan repayments, i.e. predatory schools or for-profit schools. And then also there's $1.2 billion for students who borrowed and attended ITT technical institutes, right? So he has done student loan forgiveness. Yes. Joe Biden ran on the campaign that he was going to cancel student loan debt, and he has clearly done that.
Wait, where's our audio? I thought we were getting audio.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I thought you were going to play us some audio.
Oh, I'm looking for it while I'm also trying to talk at the same time. Hold on, give me a second.
Okay.
So he has already promised that he ran on the campaign trail that he was going to cancel student loans, and clearly he has done that for.
I know you keep saying that, but I have not been able to find that. I know he has done that, but to me, that's over delivery on a promise that wasn't necessarily made, because I've read the platform and Lord knows I followed the campaign. And I think they found a way to do some nuanced things that don't require legislation. And I just don't know how much more they can do that doesn't require legislation. But I am concerned about what was promised, because, for instance, he promised us that he would nominate the first Black woman Supreme Court justice, and her name is Ketanji Brown Jackson. That's a promise, and that promise has been kept. And then he didn't promise us all those other women justices, Black women judges, but it's like a slew of them, like more than all the other presidents combined. And we need them, and they're young, y'all. They're young. We need them because the Supreme Court is in trouble. So the reason why it's important is not just that he's putting us in there in numbers, it's that it's a lot of them. And my producer is saying you got to go. How much time do we have left? Because I don't want you to search for a clip if we need to use it to just wrap up and figure out where we are on things.
Watch this. So I do have to go. So the JoeBiden.com website. I'm looking for the audio clip, and what I'll do is I'll look for it and do the research, because I'm looking at all the student debt Joe Biden clips, and they're all current. They're not from the campaign. So that means we have to go back and find them. JoeBiden.com, Biden and Harris is at the top, and I can actually show it to you guys. Let me show you. Here we go. So this is Biden Harris, JoeBiden.com. I have a screenshot of it. Including in the 2019 response of immediate cancellation of a minimum of $10,000 in federal student loan debt.
Yeah.
Forgiving all undergraduate tuition-related federal student loan debt from 2- or 4-year public colleges for debt holders earning up to $125,000. This will also apply to individuals holding student federal loans for tuitions from private HBCUs and minority-serving institutions. We can read the rest of it later. It'll take longer. So this is the JoeBiden.com website.
Yeah,
and
I've seen that.
And Joe Biden, and I sent this video clip to you last week with Joe Biden saying that he's not considering 50,000, but that he's considering something and will announce something in the next few weeks. I think that the point of this is, one, obviously I have student loans and I've been paying them, and I have a high ass interest rate, and it is definitely a deferral. I just got finished keynoting for seniors in high school in the Bay Area of Northern California who are not considering going to higher education because it costs too damn much. And I think that minus the American dream, which I never thought was illustrated or authored for Black people in this country anyway, but minus the American dream, I believe that everybody should have the choice of whether or not they want to attend higher education. And I think that the president that we currently have, and folks might disagree, who has promised in his State of the Union speech to fund the police and has increased funding for the police in this country, who has not increased the Pell Grant, and this Congress has not increased the Pell Grant. Thank you for making me be specific. And the president who has not made a promise to increase or support public 4-year institutions in higher education, does not allow these young folks to make a choice that would be best for them. They have to make the choice that's going to keep them out of debt. And I do not believe that students across this country should be serving debt sentences once they graduate for the amounts that we currently have. I think that Joe Biden, who has made his promise that he was going to cancel $10,000, there are organizations and institutions. I know the American Federation of Teachers, the National Teachers Union, has also said that they want to cancel $10,000. The NAACP is pushing for a minimum of $50,000. The National Education Association, which is our teachers' largest teachers union, is also pushing for student loan forgiveness and has not released the amount. And I have spoken to all of these organizations, along with the Debt Collective, along with the Dream Defenders, who do understand the data. Black folks will probably not benefit the most because white folks have student debt, right? And they have outstanding insurmountable amounts of student debt. But I do understand the immediate fix that this will do. And I do understand the long-term fight and battle that we have ahead of us, Monique, around the cost of education in public education in this country, about affordability, about education funding, both federally and statewide. And I think that the war that we're having right now does not need to be we need to pick education or pick these other issues. I think we can actually do all of the issues that are in front of us at the same time, because we have so many incredible organizers and leaders across the country who are pushing for the issues that are in proximity to them the closest. Since I started college, my issue has been fighting for college affordability. My issue has been fighting for students of color to be able to go to higher education and graduate and do what they want to do with their careers. And we are not that's not our reality right now. And I think it's unfair to say that students have to pay $10,000 per quarter or per semester to go and afford a public institution, college. And Joe Biden should do good on the promise that he made, but also I think push farther and make public education free. And people have our differences. White women don't want Black people to get abortions, and some of us want free education. That's just where our country.
Well, and they don't want us to get that either. And I do believe that education is a right. And that, and I appreciate your clarity and explaining these things to us, because here's the reality. Like I tweeted, and I guess it was NPR did an extensive article on all these issues, and they laid out the promises that were made by the administration. They laid out the disproportionate effect on Black and brown people of this predatory loan debt, and how many people are living in poverty because of their true just integrity about trying to pay the debt, and how many people go into careers they don't even care anything about and take jobs that they don't want to be in because they have to have a way to pay the debt. And so all of those things are on the table, and I'm going to be the last one to advocate against it. My only concern is whether there's a smart way strategically that we can all figure out what can really be done by executive order, and let's try. And what requires legislation, and let's forget about it and just vote in November, because ain't gonna happen otherwise. And what's gonna happen, I mean, there are all these different lanes. And so I just think that these issues converge, and for people who are poor, who are Black, who are brown, who are woman, y'all, we's all on the same team, whether you know it or not.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. You're right. Vote in November. It's disgusting, Monique, that we can't go through the legislation process in Congress because of the filibuster, that we've lost voting rights, that we've lost the George Floyd Policing Act, that we've lost the John Lewis Voter Restorations Rights Act. And so I have, as somebody who spends a lot of her time in election year being on the ground registering voters, I am talking to people at their doors, and they don't give a damn about the legislative process. They don't care. They want solutions, they want relief, and they want the government and the police to leave them alone. Like that's what they want. And so the people that I have to organize and talk to and encourage to turn out and vote, especially millennials and Generation Z, those folks aren't going to be concerned about where. I've been having conversations with people about where they're going to get the money from. And nobody asks that question when we send billions of dollars overseas to Ukraine, when we send billions of dollars overseas to Israel. Nobody asks that question when we're funding more money to the police. And
right, but you can't make people give a damn about us. And so that's why the voting does matter. And I know that they don't care maybe about the legislative process, but that's why I'm about to post it again this week. Conjunction, junction, wish or function. I need Nipsey to come back and talk to us about a bill. And we need to understand appropriations, because yes, we can get a $1 billion to Ukraine because the majority white representatives of the House and the Senate were willing to do so. It's not by fiat, and nobody snaps their fingers and it happens. It's that they don't really care about us. Come on, Michael.
Come on, Michael.
And so you in LA. And so I want the young people to understand that's why we need your vote more, not less, because you've got to put the people in who are going to put the vote on this.
And
or else
it
really doesn't happen. You'll just be pointing at Joe and at Kamala and be like, they didn't do nothing, they didn't do nothing, they didn't do nothing.
But Monique,
and I'm going to get back at you crazy.
Put in office. Those are the people that we did put in office, is Biden and Kamala.
We put them in office in the executive branch,
yeah.
and we have to have a firm understanding of what separation of powers really means, and about what the Senate does, and about what the House does, and about what the judiciary does. We're figuring out today what the judiciary does, right? Everybody's up to speed on that, right? Because Joe Biden, who we elected, cannot do a damn thing about this opinion that's about to come out. You know why? 30% of white women elected Donald Trump, and he put Amy Coney Barrett in a position to make for a 6, right? Yeah. And so our 3 is strong. Our 3 is strong. But this ain't got nothing to do with no Joe Biden, y'all.
We're talking about 2 things. We're talking about abortion, talking about student debt. We did put Joe Biden and Kamala in office in the executive branch. They are the president and vice president. And if Joe Biden says he's going to cancel $10,000 of student loan debt, then he needs to go ahead and do that. And then we need to have a larger conversation around funding education in this country. And we need to have a conversation about the cost of education in this country and the burden that puts on 46 million people around the country. That is the promise that we are holding him to. But that's also the work that we're doing on the ground as activists and organizers, is to make sure that people, when we go knock on their doors, understand the opportunity. Yes, there's a question around whether or not the president can do this legally. The former Secretary of Education has came out and said that he needs to go ahead and do this. We are working with the Department of Education. We are working with Congress. We're working with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. We're working with elected officials across the country to make sure that, one, this actually does happen in our lifetime. And there's an even bigger question we didn't get to, Monique, around once you cancel the debt for our folks now, what happens to graduates of 2022? What happens to graduates of this year? So that's why this conversation is for me bigger than the politics around canceling student loan debt and student loan debt forgiveness. It is bigger than that. We are talking about 169% increase in the cost of education in this country. And minimum wage is at a what?
Well, for us. For us.
Minimum wage is at a what? The cost of living is at a what? Gas is at a what?
But that platform, even the page that you showed us, did address other things other than forgiveness. It addressed trying to make college more affordable and trying to make college at historically Black colleges and institutions and universities, colleges and universities, FREE free. So, and we need all those things to happen at once. I agree. We need all those things to happen at once. But what we really need now, Tiff, is more of your time. Please promise to come back to us and talk to us again, because these are the conversations that make it make sense. You know, I live in the MSNBC and NBC and Roland Martin Unfiltered 7-minute soundbite. Roland, thankfully, has panels that stay through multiple conversations, but it's still short times with topics. I love being able to come here and get in the weeds on a singular topic or on a couple of topics and really give people an opportunity to have an understanding. We didn't use the question icon, but when we come back, we're going to use it because I want you to get a rapid fire round with my folks. They have great questions, better questions even than I have, because this is all of our collective lives. But I so am proud of you, and I so appreciate you, and I so love you so very, 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 very much. Tell people. I already posted for Black Voters Fund this morning. I posted this morning and said, today would be a good day if you're not following, if you're not supporting, because all hands on deck. But who else can we support, and how can we support you?
Thank you. You guys, I am freelancing right now, and I just celebrated my 33rd birthday. So I am taking some personal time to take care of myself. My uncle, who fell super sick, does not have anyone, and I'm his caretaker. So there isn't a way that anybody can support me in this moment. I'm doing what I have to do to take care of my family.
Yes, we can. What's your Cash App? Stop lying.
No, we don't have to. My uncle has thankfully retired, has good health insurance. I'm not asking. I'm not helping for money. I'm not doing it. Monique, I'm not doing that. Not on Instagram.
I'll find it and give it to y'all, because she does really great work, and we're going to find a way to support her. In the meantime, you can support Cash App $ Monique Pressley TV.
There you go. Support the show. That's right.
Okay, go ahead.
Platform. Thank you for your voice. Thank you for your leadership in this work. Your talents and education and expertise go a long way in the work that we all do, and everyone has a role. And I have been admiring you ever since we were on Roland Martin's panel together. Thank you for this space, and thank you for doing this show. This is incredible.
Amen. Bye. We'll see you soon.
Later. Safe travels to LA.
All right. Chair dance soon.
Yes, ma'am.
Guys, I hope you enjoyed that conversation. As you can tell, I have a depth of love in my heart for Tiffany D. Loftin, but it doesn't keep us to getting at the facts. And it doesn't mean that we don't sometimes disagree. What we have to know how to do is disagree without being disagreeable. What we have to know how to do is be on different sides of a same issue and then come together to reason together, to figure out bottom lines so that we can do what? Make it make sense. So this show will be on my YouTube channel. Subscribe there, $ Monique Pressley TV is the Cash App. The channel is Monique Pressley TV. Follow me everywhere at Monique Pressley. Follow her at Tiffany D. Loftin. And we'll be back. I am working on, right now, our team is working on trying to get us some experts on what really is about to happen if this decision comes out that is overruling in toto, overruling Roe and Casey, and where that is going to leave us. We will get those answers to you and some solutions, right? Some solutions for ourselves and for our families. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you enjoy the content, support our broadcast. You can go to the link tree in my bio. You can give through Cash App, $ Monique Pressley TV. You can give through Business PayPal. You can subscribe on Patreon. And for real, the best way you can help us is share. If you learned something of value today, tweet about it, post about it, tag Tiffany, tag me, hashtag make it make sense. All right? Love you. Thank you for joining. Bye-bye.